Welcome back to the New American Culture Exchange, your podcast where we dive into the great American game, culture, capitalism. I'm your host, Glenn Venture Smith. Today, we'll dive into the new urban prosperity paradox, the crisis that super cities are facing all across America. Did you know that urban culture generates billions of dollars in economic value each year? But here's the shocking reality. Less than 2% of that wealth actually flows back into the communities that created it.
That's a staggering disconnect. Any city, however small, is in fact divided into two. One, the city of the poor, the other, the rich. That's a quote from Plato, The Republic. So, tell us, what's actually driving this massive disparity?
Sadly, these divides will only deepen and harden if we don't address this now. It's what experts are calling disenfranchisement by design, a systematic failure to transform cultural genius into economic prosperity. Think about it. These vibrant urban communities are essentially operating as unpaid cultural incubators for major corporations.
Sort of like intellectual property theft, but on a neighborhood scale?
Exactly. And here's what makes it even more troubling. The current digital infrastructure and funding models actually reinforce this extraction. You know how venture capital flows overwhelmingly to certain zip codes? Well, the same pattern happens with cultural capital.
You know what this reminds me of? The way record labels historically exploited musicians in urban areas, taking their creativity but leaving them with pennies on the dollar.
Right. But here's where the Unicorn Hip Hop Group, LLC, Blockchain Technology of Agency, comes in. We're developing a revolutionary approach called urban gains, the power law of culture capitalism. We are completely flipping the script on how lean social impact is being facilitated.
That's quite a term. How exactly would this work in practice?
So imagine combining prediction markets with blockchain technology, but specifically designed for cultural assets. And it's built to give communities actual agency over their economic destiny.
Well, that sounds promising, but also pretty complex. Can you break it down with a real example?
Sure. Let's say there's a neighborhood known for its innovative street art scene. Currently, when that art gets commercialized, outside galleries and brands capture most of the value. Under the urban gains model, the community could actually invest in and benefit directly from their own cultural innovations.
So, it's like creating a cultural stock exchange where communities own the shares?
Exactly. And here's the game-changing part. We're integrating this with current legislative frameworks like Opportunity Zones and the Genius Act, but adding what we call neuro-agency architecture to ensure communities maintain control.
That's fascinating. But how do you measure success beyond just financial returns?
Well, we've developed a comprehensive metric that combines traditional ROI, return on investment, with cultural and cognitive impact measurements. It's not just about counting dollars. We're tracking things like cultural preservation, community regeneration, and long-term sustainability.
You know, this sounds similar to how microfinance transformed access to capital in developing countries.
That's a brilliant parallel. And just like microfinance, it's about creating systems that work with existing community structures rather than imposing external solutions. The technology amplifies local knowledge instead of replacing it.
But surely there must be significant challenges in implementing something this ambitious?
Oh, definitely. The biggest hurdle is the complexity of integrating these new tools with traditional financial systems. And this is what makes urban gains, the power law of culture capitalism, so different. We're focusing on financial returns in a very unique way. We're building what we call the cultural intelligence quotient, that encourages the participants to embrace how their collective wisdom shapes business, economies, and societies. Why the many are smarter than the few is what we preach.
Looking ahead, what could this mean for urban development as a whole?
Well, we're potentially looking at a complete transformation in how we think about urban prosperity. Instead of seeing cultural richness and economic development as separate tracks, this approach shows how they can be mutually reinforcing. It's about creating a new economic engine that powers both cultural preservation and community wealth.
That's certainly an ambitious vision. Do you see any current models as indicators of success?
Actually, yes. Right Solutions makes a fascinating case study. Innovation that happens from the top down tends to be orderly and dumb. Innovation that happens from the bottom up tends to be chaotic but smart. Imagine an organization that chooses prediction market democracy to solve its problems by operating on the principle that the market is smarter than the individual. Sounds far-fetched? RITS Solutions revolutionize the way companies operate. RITS Solutions is the template for the new solution revolution. And perhaps most importantly, they're maintaining cultural authenticity while building economic power.
It sounds like we might be witnessing a real paradigm shift in urban and inner-city development.
I know we are, and the timing couldn't be more critical. Because when you look at the accelerating pace of cultural extraction that's been happening now in the digital age, communities can't afford to wait for incremental changes any longer. And we're only just beginning to unravel the new urban prosperity paradox, the crisis that supercities are facing all across America. And if you're here listening to this podcast, it's safe to say you love learning about making our communities, our cities, and most importantly, our family's future prosperous. Join the Solution Revolution today at blockchainweb3.com, disrupthiphop.com, and theblack10x.com. I'm Glenn Venture Smith. I'm honored to be your host, and I want to thank you for spending your time with us today.